Hello, welcome. Today's National Honeybee Day, so I guess it's symbolic that we're going to be harvesting our third honey harvest today. Just wanted to give you a little background on the Two Colonies. This colony grew really fast, and we got pretty close to three boxes of honey, so about 90 pounds. That's the best we've ever done on a colony. This colony was a little unique. We used to have a queen excluder on it, and the queen managed to get up through the queen excluder and start laying eggs in the honey super. So we have one box of honey and maybe a little bit more. Once the queen did that, we took the honey excluder out, moved the full box of honey down below, and waited for the brood to hatch, and I don't think they've replaced it with honey. I've received a lot of questions on videos why we don't use smoke. Whenever I'm doing honey, I never use smoke. We could probably smoke them a little bit at the entrance. But the first thing the bees do when you smoke them is stick their head in the honey, and we're trying to get all the bees off. Received a lot of comments about different ways to get honeybees out of the boxes. I've seen bee escapes used. I didn't want to use those. They just take too much time for me. In this local area, we have really bad hive beetles, so I'm not sure I want anything empty for a while with all those hive beetles. Number two. People have asked about, using the honeybee gun where you spray it and they don't like the smell. That's just not something I like doing, just putting a bad smell in there and moving around. The other thing I've seen is where people just take the box off and take a leaf blower and blow all the bees out. That'd probably be pretty fast, but since we transport these things to our friend's house where they have the honey house, we want all the bees out so we don't have to wear our suits on the way over to the honey house. So we'll get started in a minute and start harvesting the honey. So, yeah, we're going to shake the bees, so we'll show you a little bit how to do that in a minute. Okay, we're going to start shaking the bees off. They're relatively calm. Some of the guard bees were up top, and so when we took it off, there are a few angry ones, but these guys are pretty calm, and we'll just shake the honey off. The bees off. So we just pry them up, get them loose. And the honey looks really good. It's totally capped. A lot of weight there. So just one quick little, oh yeah, they're eating the honey. That's one of the things we were worried about, is that they'd start eating the honey. So we may not get 90 pounds out of this. So alright, so that's basically what we'll be doing about 40 or 50 times to get all these frames off. So we'll catch up later. Alright, I want to just show you the great setup we have by our friends. This is their honey house that they set up. And I'll just give you a little tour. Sorry for the bounce. Kind of come in here. And they got it all waiting for us, and you can kind of see the equipment. So we got the decapping equipment, and then they have the extractor, and then they have a heating pot that we usually don't use. So anyway, we're very fortunate to have this here. Alright. So we're not using an electric knife because we have yet to find a good electric knife that doesn't overheat, and we find it just as easy to use a serrated knife, and it gets most of it. Now a lot of our frames, we use 9 instead of 10, so then the bees tend to build it out a little bit further, so it makes this possible. When it's a little thin like that, you can always use the little punchers. So getting assistance from my daughter, Sierra. Go ahead and do the other side, Sierra. This side seems pretty thick. So yeah, the one issue with the serrated knife is it's really easy to cut the frames a little bit and chip them up, but nothing a little sanding won't fix, or probably doesn't harm anything either way, even if you don't sand it. So this is just an example of cutting off the cappings. And then for those little residual pieces left over, we just have our little, I forgot what this tool is called, but yeah, it just kind of picks off the cappings, anything left over. So Then once it's all done, you flip it to the other side, you flip it upside down.
Which keeps the honey from dripping.
And then we put it into the extractor. All set. So that's what the cappings look like after they fall off the frames. And then you can see there's a metal grate and the honey falls below, and then on the outside, once you get it all done, you just use that to put it through, not the filter, but the sifter. So all the bee parts and the wax doesn't go into the honey. All right, go ahead. So here's frame number 2. Again, most of these frames, we only had 9 in the super. So when you have 9 in the super, it tends to be really thick. You can kind of get a side view and see how thick that is. They build it on the outside to make the bee space the same as if you have 10 frames. And if you don't get as much honey or more honey, I'd be very surprised. But you can just see how easy it is to uncap it when you're able to use 9 instead of 10. You can kind of see that dark space. This is one of the places where our queen kind of moved up and did her little duty in our supers, and then we got her out of there, and then they just filled it up with honey. So it's all good. It's all going to be good. So see how easy that comes off. We really like these serrated knives even better than the heated knives. Just because it seems so problematic to get a heated knife that doesn't overheat, burn the wax, burn the honey, or underheat, and it still comes off pretty easy. And you can see that the frames are intact, so it doesn't damage the frames. Sorry, the cells of the wax, not the frames. Okay, you can see the honey coming out of the extractor and going in through the strainer, so we keep out all the bug parts out of the honey. Start out really slow, so there's not much coming out, but then once the frames get pretty empty, then we speed it up quite a bit. Alright, after about 4 hours of lapse time with interruptions in the middle, we've got our honey extracted. So taking the estimate from here, looks like the first bucket has about 4 gallons, the second bucket has 4 based on a 5-gallon bucket. Might be a little light. Third bucket maybe has 2.5 gallons. And then in our, go ahead and turn on that other light. On our, no, I don't know if you can see that. There's maybe a half a gallon to a gallon in the bottom of the capping catcher. And just to kind of give you an idea, I'll take this lid off so you can see it. That's what it kind of looks like. So we got a little bit of a mess to clean up in the morning. We'll let this drain, and then there's an exit for the honey, and we'll put that through the screen so we don't get any wax in the honey. But yeah, there's can be a pretty significant, you can kind of see the bottom of that, how much honey's in that just from the cappings. So alright, it's the next day after the harvest of honey, and we've got all of our wax clippings. I set them out to on the patio in the shade, and the bees are cleaning it up. I know a lot of people think that this inspires raiding of your colonies. I'm probably, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50 yards away from where my boxes are. I don't have any weak colonies, so I'm not too worried about some robbing going on between my colonies. And these guys do such a great job cleaning up the honey out of the wax clippings. I mean, when they're done, I'll show you. It literally is just flaky. Right now, it's like oatmeal. It's all sticking together. And when they're done, it will be it'll be like flaky flakes. So just wanted to give you guys an update on that so you can kind of see it. I also have my my supers out here. They're getting cleaned out by the bees too. We debated whether to just put them on top, but it's just easier to just let them get robbed, because then you don't have to get the bees off of them. Okay, now that the tray's been out there about an hour, they've communicated to their buddies, and we have a full-fledged cleaning going on. So I'm sure they'll do this for most of the rest of the day. It may even take them until tomorrow, but they'll clean this stuff into stuff that's just dry as powder. From soaked with honey to dry as powder. Alright, this is the real satisfying part, filling up the bottles. Our honey is a lot darker this year, and it has a much stronger flavor. It'll be interesting to see if people like it as much. So we're going to be filling up about 60 of these guys. So it's going to take a while, and had some equipment problems with our opener. It seems to be dripping more than it did last year. So we'll tally these up and add up all the pounds and see how much we have in the end. But there you go. There's the first two bottles, first two 2-pound bottles being packaged. Here's where you can see the color difference from this year and last year. Last year it's a lot lighter. It's coming out quite a bit darker this year. We've tasted it, and it'll be interesting to see what feedback we get from all the people that buy the honey. Okay, we've wrapped up all of our bottling, and as you can see, all the bottles, the stuff on the far left we just use for ourselves. We put it in some containers that are easy to get out, but most of the rest of these we use to sell. So we already have people calling, and they go really fast. People go crazy over this stuff. So total take 127 pounds.